You sleep 8 hours. You don't exercise. You're eating well. And yet you're exhausted. Not the kind of tired where your body shuts down, but the kind where your mind feels like it's running in slow motion, where even thinking about what to have for lunch feels like a chore. And the weird part, this is probably the least physically demanding time in human history, so why are we more tired than ever? Imagine someone from 100 years ago, a farmer. Their day was physically brutal. From sunrise to sunset, they were moving their body, plowing fields, carrying water, building things. But here's what's interesting. Their mind had the luxury of being on autopilot. Their body was tired, sure, but their nervous system wasn't being bombarded. They weren't switching between 47 different tasks. They weren't getting interrupted every 6 seconds by a notification from a device in their pocket. They could sink into rhythm, work, eat, rest, repeat, and when they finally lay down to sleep, they slept. Deep, restorative, complete. Now think about your day. Your morning started before you even woke up, scrolling through your phone in bed, checking messages, seeing notifications about things you don't even care about yet can't ignore. Your body sitting down most of the day is technically rested, but your mind never actually stops. Let's talk about notifications. On average, people check their phones over 200 times a day. That's once every 4.5 minutes. Most of that isn't intentional. It's these tiny dopamine hits from notifications, but each notification, it's a demand for your attention. And whether you consciously respond to it or not, your brain processes it, your nervous system registers it as something that might be important, and that creates a constant low-level state of alert. Open loop 2. Why is constant alert exhausting? Think about what happens when your phone buzzes right now. Even if you ignore it, part of your brain is wondering, what is it? Is it important? Is someone upset with me? There's a fraction of a second where your nervous system goes on high alert. Your body releases a tiny bit of cortisol, the stress hormone. Now multiply that by 200 times a day. That's not stress from one big threat. It's not a bear chasing you. It's like being startled by the same bear 200 times in tiny increments. By the end of the day, your body is running on fumes, and it's not just notifications. It's the streams, the endless feeds, the infinite scroll that was literally designed to keep you clicking. You sit down for what feels like 5 minutes of just checking social media, 45 minutes disappear. And it's not because you lack discipline, it's because engineers spent years learning exactly how to hijack your attention. Your brain processes every image, every headline, every piece of information, and most of it is emotionally charged, designed to provoke, designed to make you feel something: outrage, envy, FOMO, inspiration. Your mind is being asked to process the emotional weight of global events, personal drama from people you barely know, and advertising all simultaneously by the time you close your phone for the night. You're not tired from work. You're tired from processing an impossible amount of information. Here's where it gets really interesting. Your brain, the one you have right now, evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. It's optimized for survival in a very specific environment: the African savanna, small tribes, scarcity, and immediate threats. In that environment, paying attention to everything was useful. If you missed a detail about where a tiger was hiding, you died. So your brain became really good at detecting threats, at noticing change, at reacting instantly. But that attention system, it was never designed for an environment where you're hit with 2,000 pieces of new information every single hour. It goes into cognitive overload. And when your brain is overloaded, it consumes energy like crazy. Concentration becomes harder. Decision-making becomes exhausting. Even mundane tasks feel heavy. This is called cognitive load, the amount of mental effort being required at any given moment. And research shows that modern life has pushed this to unprecedented levels. Think about it like your brain's battery. In the past, people had natural periods of rest. Work, then evening communication stopped at nightfall. Your brain had time to recharge. Today, your battery is being drained 24/7. Work notifications come at 9 p.m. You're checking social media at midnight. You're falling asleep watching videos. Even when you're trying to rest, your brain is being stimulated. So even if you sleep 7, 8, 9 hours, you never actually recharge fully. Your battery isn't getting to 100%. It's running at 40%, then 60%, cycling up and down, but never truly resting. You wake up already tired. Now let's talk about something that nobody really accounts for: the cost of switching between tasks. A typical morning for a lot of people looks like this. You're trying to focus on work. You've got a document open, you're deep in thought, but then a Slack message pops up. You glance at it. It's not urgent, so you go back to work. But something changed. You're not as deep in thought anymore. Part of your brain is wondering what that message was about. 15 minutes later, you get an email notification. Then another Slack. Then you check your phone for the time, and suddenly you're scrolling through Instagram for 5 minutes. This isn't laziness. This is what happens when your attention is fragmented. Research on task switching is pretty stark. When you switch from one task to another, your brain doesn't instantly catch up. There's a lag time. Neuroscientists call it a context switch cost. It can take up to 25 minutes for your brain to fully refocus on a task after you've switched away from it. Think about what that means. You check a notification that took 10 seconds, but because you switched your attention, your brain needs 25 minutes to fully re-engage with what you were doing. And if you're switching every 10 minutes, like most of us are, you're never actually getting those 25 minutes to refocus. You're always partially switched, always partially engaged, always at some level, frustrated that you're not making progress. This creates this weird state where you feel busy, but not productive, where you worked all day but can't point to anything you actually accomplished. And that feeling, that disconnect between effort and outcome is exhausting. But it goes deeper. When you're constantly switching, your brain is also constantly trying to encode memories. It's trying to file away all this information, but it can't do that well when you're distracted. So you end up with this fragmented, incomplete sense of what happened during your day. You finish the day and can't remember what you did. That's not just annoying. Neurologically, it means your brain never fully processed your experience. So your nervous system is still holding on to it. It's still running in the background. That unprocessed stress adds up, and it's a big part of why you feel so exhausted. Okay, so we've established that modern life is basically designed to exhaust your brain. But here's the good news. Once you understand the problem, you can do something about it. And the solution isn't about having more willpower or being better at time management. It's about restructuring how you interact with information and attention. The first step is to stop trying to manage constant interruptions. Instead, you protect periods of deep work. This means turning off notifications, all of them, not silencing them off. Closing your email, putting your phone in another room. Then you batch your communication. You check email twice a day. You check messages at specific times. You give yourself permission to not be available for most of the day. This isn't just about productivity. It's about giving your brain the chance to actually think, to sink into focus. And when you do that, something shifts. Work becomes less exhausting because you're not constantly fighting distraction. One deep hour of focused work is worth 3 hours of fragmented work, and more importantly, after an hour of real focus, you feel energized, not drained. Your brain got to do what it's actually good at, sustained attention. The second part is creating silence, and I don't just mean turning off music, I mean actual intentional periods where you're not consuming anything. This is hard, because in modern life, quiet feels like a luxury, or even like anxiety, like you should be doing something productive, but quiet is productive. It's when your brain processes information, it's when your nervous system downregulates, it's when you actually heal. This could be walking without your phone, sitting with a cup of coffee and just thinking, lying in bed without checking your phone for 20 minutes before sleep, even just a commute where you're not listening to a podcast during these quiet times. Your brain isn't being flooded with new information, so it can catch up, it can file away the day's experiences, it can actually repair itself. People who build this into their lives report better sleep, better memory, better focus, better mood, not because they're doing anything, but because they're not doing anything. And their brain is finally getting the rest it needs. The third part is about being intentional with your work, not just reactive, not just responding to whatever demands are loudest, but actually deciding what matters and then working on that with full presence. This means instead of 10 half-finished projects, maybe you have 2 or 3 real ones. Instead of responding to every request, you ask, is this aligned with what I actually care about? This is radical because we're taught that productivity is about doing more, but real productivity, sustainable productivity, is about doing less, more fully. When you work on something you chose with full focus for a sustained period, you don't just get better results, you also get restored. That work doesn't drain you the way fragmented, reactive work does. So the irony is working less, more intentionally, leaves you with more energy. So let's step back. When you feel exhausted, when you feel burned out, when you lie awake at night with your mind racing, that's not a personal failing. It's not because you're lazy or undisciplined or not good enough. It's because you're trying to live a human life in a system that was never designed for human attention. But the beautiful thing is you can change that, not by changing the system, but by consciously opting out, at least partially, by deciding that your attention is sacred, that your focus is valuable, that your rest is non-negotiable. The people who feel most alive, most capable, most at peace, they're not the ones doing more. They're the ones who've figured out how to protect their attention, how to work deeply on things that matter, how to create space for quiet. They've basically decided, I'm not going to play the game the way it's designed. I'm going to play it my way. And that choice, that small radical choice to protect your own attention and your own time, that's what actually feels good. That's what actually works. So tonight or tomorrow morning, try this. Turn off a notification, protect 30 minutes of work time, take a 15-minute walk without your phone. You might feel a little anxious, like you're missing something, but that anxiety will pass, and what you'll find on the other side is clarity, energy. Your mind actually resting, that's not just less burnout, That's actually getting your life back.